Rich Rodriguez says he's a different coach than he was nearly 25 years ago when he took over the job for the first time. And of course, there's a lot that's changed at WVU and across college football in that same span. Our Mountaineer football insider Ryan Decker sits down with Coach Rodriguez to discuss his return to WVU. The Coach's Corner is brought to you by AARP West Virginia. Real possibilities in the Mountain State.
All right, thanks, Nick. And as you mentioned, we are joined by the head coach of the Mountaineer football program, Rich Rodriguez. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yep, great to be here.
So, Coach, got to ask you this as we start off here. When you look around this building, this facility, even the city, how different is this place from just, say, 20 years ago?
Yeah, the facility, you pulled up, it looks the same, and then once you go in the building, it's like, where'd this come from, you know? As my office was looking at the parking lot, and now it's looking out in the stadium. And
a lot better view now, right?
And it's $57 million of improvements and all the things that you need as a football player to have success or develop yourself, we have that. And so I hadn't been back in 17 years, so it was really great to see the tour. We have everything, I think, in place for our players to get better, for our coaches to have success. So it's been a lot of fun.
Have you figured out all the nooks and crannies of this place? Or are you still finding little surprises every once in a while?
I'm still figuring it out. I know we have this great recovery room where they have this like red light therapy thing, and I think it's supposed to help your muscles. I also heard it helps anti-aging. So I've tried it a couple of times. I don't think it's working.
Can we get in there too?
But yeah, absolutely. But I need that. But it's been a whole lot of fun. And also, you know, we feed our guys the way we feed our guys, and we have great food service here. So, you know, I think our players, and I've been around a little bit, you know, fortunately, and throughout this career, been all over the place, and we have as much as anybody in the country has, and all the stuff that the coaches and players would need to have success, we have, and what we don't have, we're getting. So it's a good thing.
The first time you had that flying WV on your chest that you have right there, first time you had it on your hat, back out on the practice field again, what was that feeling like? It
was a little surreal during the press conference. Now, when practice starts, it was just like, you know, like everywhere else you go, you know, we were in the indoor for the first few times. Going out to the stadium for the first practice in the first stadium was kind of neat, you know, because it's been a long time for that. And I'm not one to reflect too much anyway. I think I reflected a lot on the day of the press conference. Beyond that, it's just like work. Now, I know the first game, you know, running out and out there with our fans and the excitement of that will be kind of neat as well. But you know, you get so focused on what do you got to do next, what do you got to do to win, that's been our primary focus since day one.
So you haven't been here in 17 years, but there are still some familiar faces around this building, both, you know, just kind of organizationally and also on your staff with Rhett, your son, and Raquel, your daughter, both here in official capacities. What's it been like for you, having those two on staff and here in the building with you every day? Yeah,
and that's great. Obviously, you know, they know our program, know how we want to do things, but this is not the first time we've been together. You know, we worked together at Jack State, and it worked so well. And I already knew it was going to be, you know, both of them had particular skill sets that could help us win. But it was even better when I had them there, some of the things they brought to the table. So for me, being able to bring them here, and people are seeing that, you know, they weren't hired because they were Coach Rodriguez's family. They were hired because they can help us win, and but every decision I make here, and it's kind of neat. I tell every decision I make now regarding our program is, does it help us win? And if it helps us win, then we try to do it.
There's still obviously a lot of time between now and the start of fall camp, even the start of the regular season on August 30th. But do you find teams right now in year one here, this portion of the offseason, start to find their identity?
I think you have to have a summer where they get in shape and work hard with our strength staff and all that. That's going to form up a little bit. And then the first couple weeks of August when we have camp, that's going to form it as well. And you hope it's formed the week before the first game. Sometimes it takes a little longer, even that. But that's dangerous when it's not that. But I do think their guys are starting to take shape now a little bit. You know, they're starting to understand it, but it's still, it's still kind of not totally sunk into everybody how we practice, how we go doing things, but it's getting there. This summer is going to be really important. August camp is going to be really important to finalize that.
You mentioned the summer and you mentioned fall camp. So what are some of those key dates, key checkpoints that you and the staff are going to be working towards and working through as you push past the spring?
Well, typically in a fall camp, you want to have your team ready 2 weeks before the first game. And so all the camp time before that. In the summer now, the summer used to be back in the old days, that's how old I was, coaches couldn't even ask the strength staff how the guys were doing in the summer. You just hope they were showing up and working out and all that. Well, now we can actually be there. Now, I won't be there all summer because they'll need a break from me and I need a break from them. But in the month of June, we'll be around quite a bit, still teaching our guys, still doing some stuff with them. Our strength staff, I got a great strength staff. We'll get them in shape and get them stronger and ready to go. And we're going to have a still new roster guys that are coming up for the first time in June. So there's a lot of work to be done.
You mentioned earlier you're not overly reflective, but you kind of hinted to this, that you've thought a little bit about running out of the tunnel for the first time there on August 30th. What do you think that sensation, that feeling will be like?
It'll be a little surreal again. It'll probably bring back a lot of good memories. I won't run out as fast as I used to because I'm a lot older. But I know that we have such a great fan base, and football is so important, and I recognize that, and I've always recognized that. And I'm just anxious for our guys to be the type of team that our fans want to watch. And I've always said this: our fans, they might not know the X's and O's, but they know if guys are playing hard and playing with passion. And we owe it to our state, we owe it to our university, we owe it to our fans to play as hard as we possibly can.
Well, that day will be here before you know it. West Virginia's home opener set for the final Saturday in August against Robert Morris. Up next, we'll introduce you to defensive coordinator Zach Alley when the Mountaineer Game Day Spring Football Special continues.
This special edition of Mountaineer Game Day is presented by GoMart, the official convenience store of WVU Athletics.